All right, let's call the meeting to order on Monday, March 24th, 2025, 6:03 p.m. Any adjustments to the select board agenda?
John, did you want to talk about that broadband letter when we get to your...
I think, Robin, you have it, right?
Yeah, but somebody has to approve it and sign it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do it
Oh,
under the
yes.
town clerk.
Thank you. So if we could add that to the agenda, please.
All right. And do we want to do that under the town clerk's report?
Or just do it under John.
Do it under John, okay.
I mean, that would be my suggestion.
Yep, that's fine. The broadband. And Mr. Gordon, did you want to be here for public comment, or did you want to be on the agenda? Either
All I have
one.
to say would be very brief, so public comment would be fine.
All right, let's do that. All right, well, if there's no other adjustments, let's move on to approving the minutes from March 10th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the March 10th meeting minutes as written, please say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously.
Oh,
So, it doesn't matter.
That's not-
Can I borrow your pen? Wait, pencil too?
pencil?
I got a pencil too.
No, that's Lizzie's copy right there.
Got it.
The one we sign is the one that has the sign on it that says sign.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we'll move right on to public comment. Nobody joining us for Zoom, so John, thanks for coming.
Just thought I would mention that after several months, we finally get a contact from the state reaching out on the hazard mitigation grants. Don't have any results yet, but with the meeting scheduled for Thursday, it sounded like they said they had something like suggestions before they move forward to fund allocation. So it sounds like they're actually moving, but I hope to have some more information, hard information after Thursday.
To fund our what, did you
For the
say?
hazard mitigation grants that are applied for the Shattuck property and also for the old firehouse. Both 2 packets that were put in.
Oh, okay. So the Shattuck one isn't done just through the landowner as far as a buyout?
Well, I don't know if he's gone and applied for anything through FEMA, but we did put in a packet to the hazard mitigation program with the state.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
only thing that I've been tracking.
Oh, so that's a little separate from the FEMA buyout.
I don't speak to the FEMA buyout.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, like these 2 properties were impacted by the flood. They potentially could be bought out, and the requirement would be that they'd have to be green space? Is that?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And the grant would pay to demolish.
The grant would pay for the purchase of the property and then demolish and restore it to some level of grass. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So hopefully after Thursday, we'll have more actual information
Great.
about where things are.
And after Thursday, if there is an approval, what kind of timeline might there be? Hard saying.
No idea.
No
Never
idea.
done it before.
All right, fair enough.
I read in the papers that a lot of other towns are still waiting for their buyouts. I mean, people who have lost their homes from 2023 are still waiting for their buyouts.
Yeah, so when this is I hesitate to equate these because I know there are a number of entities that are pursuing FEMA buyouts.
Oh,
And this is through a specific hazard mitigation program
Okay.
within the state. Now, I think that they got a bunch of FEMA money. That's just noise that I hear through things, and I don't know the veracity of it.
oh,
But this is a program administered by the state. As the whole set of other acronyms that are upstream, but.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Any other questions for John before we move on? All right. Any other public comment? Hearing none, let's move on to Seville and the Hazen Student Council request.
Sure,
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I'm here to talk about an event called Due Day, which is hosted and organized by the Hazen Student Council. This year it's on May 9th. And on this day, Hazen students go out into the community and help through various projects. For example, last year, one group repainted the fire hydrants in Hardwick. Some students went to Hardwick Elementary, and I believe some might have come to Woodbury as well and read to elementary school students. One group went to the Craftsbury Community Care Center and helped out there. And this year, one group is planning on rebuilding the greenhouse, the community greenhouse at Hazen. And I'm here to ask if you all know of any projects or jobs that students could help out with in Woodbury.
What did you call it again?
It's called Due Day.
Due day?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
D-O.
All right. That's clear. Huh.
What was the date again?
May 9th.
Thank you.
Seville, is this something that you need information on right now, or is it something we could think about and get back to you on?
Sure, yeah, you could get back to me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ideally, when would you guys have your tasks kind of in
Hopefully within the next few weeks.
a few weeks? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Michael?
So I have one thing, I actually was going to try to get together with the people from Woodbury on Green Up Day, but the wetland area down here along the Kingsbury Branch is loaded with trash from the last 2 years of flooding. I removed some kind of hazardous things that I have found down there, but that's a project that I would love to see happen. And the only time you can do it is before all of the vegetation grows up down there, because it's like a jungle once it does. You can see some bits of stuff stuck in some of the dams in the wetland area down below, right by Route 14. So that's one idea that I would throw out there.
And
So
when-
this is if it doesn't get done on Green Up Day, right?
Yeah, or if the Hazen students wanted to come and do that, then we wouldn't do it on Green Up Day. We'd focus on the roads and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be just a couple of people that would be willing,
Yeah.
that are interested in doing it on Green Up Day. That's,
And we don't usually do much on Route 14 for Green Up Day because the state eventually comes along, but I don't think they go like over the bank or into the woods or anything, they just
no.
do the edges.
I wouldn't have any students be.
No, I mean the V-Trans people who come along with their
They're
buckets and
supposed to,
stuff.
yeah.
But that wouldn't be something that they'd clean up, right? You're talking
The
about
Hazen students? No.
further down?
No, I'm talking right down below here.
Oh.
From where we are right now.
Oh,
Wait, Seville, whichever, for not a better word, organization that the students are working with that day, do you need to have a representative from that organization to be with them?
A teacher from Hazen would come
Okay.
and like facilitate and just supervise. Yeah.
So with that, Michael, can Seville reach out to you? And
Sure, if the students are interested, and I would help oversee that project if you were, if students were willing to come.
Yeah, I'll pose that idea at the next meeting. Thank you.
And I guess meanwhile, we'll just kind of spread the word.
Sure.
And I don't know if a front porch forum post would be, I don't know how,
Yeah.
you might get inundated. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
we'll spread the word and keep our ears open. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we will move on to Robin with the town clerk's report.
The big thing right off the bat is we have only had 57 dogs licensed for this year. Last year we had a total of 172. And April 1st is just next week. After that, the prices go up.
Okay.
By how much?
By $4 each.
Really? Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that was a quick switch there.
So comes the rock.
Look away for a minute and then there's another Murphy in the chair.
The two of us.
Good. All right, Robin, and
We're like sudden like father.
is there a way to get that word out to?
I have put it out on Front Porch
You
Forum
have?
2 or 3 different times now.
Okay,
So I just figured maybe one more plug at tonight's meeting would help.
all right.
Because they can either bring the information into the office, I mean, it's getting short, but they can mail it, or they can put it in the Dropbox.
Right.
And then we'll mail the information back to them.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Brandy told me that it's possible to call, have the vet that,
If we don't have a current rabies certificate in the office, we can call your vet, and they will fax us one.
okay, great,
If it has been done, you know.
yeah. It's been done. Great,
And we have some letters for Chris to sign for the appointments that you guys approved last meeting.
Dan, I have a
We will
pencil.
have
Can I borrow your
one
pen?
more
Or does it not matter?
tonight that will need to be approved, and that is George Sawyer for the Woodbury Fund.
Oh, wow, there's a bunch here.
Oh, thank you. Can you find my pencil?
You guys want me to do this later?
No, it's good.
Okay. I guess meanwhile, while I'm signing these, if someone would like to make a motion to approve George Sawyer to the Woodbury Fund, we could move that.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing George Sawyer to the Woodbury Fund, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and
Is that letter in
Thank
here
you.
too, or next time, okay?
Right.
and then, Robin, do we have a kind of an updated list of which appointments we're missing? Or is that something that we could?
I can do one up and email it to you tomorrow, but as looking down through here, we need another planning commission person.
Two more.
2 more, buddy?
2 more.
They're short 2 now,
Okay.
and maybe more, I don't know.
And the tree warden. And we're gonna need at least one more member for
Thank you.
the Woodbury Fund. I still haven't heard back from Grady yet. I'll
Okay.
give him a call tomorrow. So I just don't wanna take him
There's
off. That's
also,
why I want it to come from him.
Yeah, there's also the,
Thank you.
that's the Vermont Regional Planning Commission. No, the,
The solid waste system.
that's the Solid Waste District, yeah, Solid Waste District.
Thank you, sir.
And I don't need that list.
It's
I don't
not
think we
really-
need that list tomorrow, maybe the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, the Solid Waste District, we're in pretty good shape compared to a lot of years.
Oh, yeah.
Still waiting to hear from Paul Council on the, Michael, if you happen to talk to Paul Council, we're
Well,
still.
we had a meeting last week, but didn't really come up at all. He was there, and,
All right, well, if you think of it, remind him that,
okay.
And with most of the town meeting stuff being wrapped up now, I'm back into recording again. And that's about it for me.
All right. And then Liz, did you happen to hear back from Paul about?
Yep, I did.
You
I
did?
talked to him the other day. So the two questions we had for him were whether Vermont required the school generator to have an annual inspection. He said that's not a requirement. So we're good on that, and I think that was kind of our deciding point as far as which of the two packages we were gonna purchase
Yep.
with Brookfield Generator.
That's how I remember it.
The other question was whether the fire department was still gonna do monthly testing. I think it was monthly. And they are gonna continue to do the testing that they've been doing. He said at least, until they are using their own generator in the new building, which he said won't be for at least a year, so we don't have to think about
Okay.
it for at least a year.
Until they're totally out of the
Yeah.
existing building.
Yeah.
Do you have those forms, Robin?
One of you guys took them last week, 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I bet you I have them not here. So
did you
does
get
that?
those, did you take those?
I didn't take the
I
form.
bet you I have them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean, I'll look in my pile.
okay.
I don't think so.
And then if I can sign those and then give them bring them to the town clerk's office. If you approve.
Well, I think we were planning to decide on it.
Yeah. So there's two packages.
Yeah, 1 year or 2 years, once a year or twice a year,
Right.
yeah. So did anyone did Paul mention any
So
recommendation as far as that goes? I mean,
yes, I just asked him those specific questions because I think we had all here talked about we were inclined to go with the less expensive package, but we wanted to know for sure if the annual inspection was required because that was a part of the more expensive package. So if it had been required, we might have.
you mean there was a thought that there was an inspection required by some outside agency person, or?
Yeah, so the two packages that Brookfield Generator offered, one of them included a state inspection, so like a Vermont state inspection of the generator.
Okay.
One of them didn't, and it was the less expensive one that didn't include it. So that was one of our questions was we don't actually need the inspection, so there's really no need to.
And Paul's testing it once a month, which seems like kind of an inspection in its own way.
Well, in the past, we've always gone with the twice a year just because it's an old generator. And even though it doesn't get used very much. Maybe if they're, I don't.
I don't really I don't care too much except that no matter what, like if Paul's testing it once a month and it doesn't work, we're still gonna have to call somebody out to repair it.
Yeah.
So we would save a few $100s by,
I'd be inclined to save the money, and we just had a whole bunch of stuff done to it anyway, so I would like to think that would hold us for a while.
I'm happy to table this till the next meeting if that feels good. Or we can make a decision tonight and you can authorize me to sign it and then I can drop it off at the town clerk's office.
I'd be happy to make a decision tonight, but
Okay.
only if everybody else feels the same way.
I guess I would be inclined to go with the less expensive package unless,
Somebody make a motion, I don't have to vote for it.
all right,
I'll make a motion to go with the less expensive package.
all right. I will second, we don't need a second, but is there any discussion?
I just would rather do the twice a year, just to be safe, but I get my car inspected twice a year. Oil change, things like that,
You only need to get your car inspected.
Okay, well, I mean, a general,
Once a year's fine.
checkup.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract for the less amount, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
No,
Motion passes not unanimously, but 2-1. So I guess, and then I think that you need to authorize, we need a motion to authorize me to sign it. Maybe not.
no, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, I'll sign it and drop it off. with
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you said that's it for the town's report, right? Or the town clerk's report. We'll move on to Lily.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi everybody. So I just want to start out from following up from our last meeting about the question regarding the FEMA 2024 overpayment account. It was down a ways than the 815 that we received. Just wanted to let everybody know that is now balanced and is reflecting the full 815. And then I believe, Diana, you had a question on Fund 19. That is for FEMA 2024 expenses, so there was
Yeah.
FEMA 2023 and then 2024.
Is there any way you could correct that name of that line item, that account
Fund
for the
19?
Fund 19? It's just,
Yeah,
it says FEMA flooding 2023, why can't that one say FEMA flooding 2024?
I guess there's no, I mean, I don't see a reason why not. But I am gonna touch base with Brandy to make sure that there wasn't a reason why she did what she did in the first place.
So the negative 75,000 is,
Essentially,
that's,
payments, and labor that was done regarding, FEMA
Yeah.
disasters.
is that how much they owe us,
For-
Skip?
2024,
Yeah,
yeah, they owe us 80,617.
okay, so that's, yeah, okay,
And that's with FEMA.
thank you.
Okay, going into, for the financial report for the last 2 weeks. The total cash receipts money coming in, we have $430.60, essentially fleet, copies, dog licensing, recordings. We had 2 transfers, electronic transfers from the state of Vermont for recording fees, a small $90, and traffic fines, $95.50. Payroll this period was $8,759.63. Accounts payable for the last 2 weeks, $11,725.63 And then we had 2 transfers from the MMA to the checking, that totaled $2,500, or, gosh, I'm messing up my words today.
Sorry.
$25,000 moved into checking. So that's kind of a wrap of the financials. I maybe should have added this to the agenda at the beginning, but I did send an email to the select board regarding it's a certificate course and a separate course in standard bookkeeping and governmental accounting and reporting, which I think would be really great for me to do. And it is with a subscription service that does courses, Coursera. Costs me about $40 a month. I already have an account from other courses that I've taken in the past.
What's the name of the outfit?
Coursera,
Coursera,
basically course with an R and an A at the end.
yeah, okay.
And so just wanting to know if I continue on with my subscription and I take the course, that would be refunded monthly or reimbursed.
That's
And-
great, you're taking it.
Would you reimburse it monthly, or would you reimburse it at the completion passing of the course?
That's a good,
Yeah, I don't know.
Liz got past the course.
I didn't say she wouldn't, but
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it may take a while, I mean, it's not gonna be,
Yeah, that is the thing, it's the certificate course, it's 4 modules in one, about 80 hours. I was hoping to do around 6 hours a week dedicated to
would you
it.
be doing that as part of your regular work?
I would assume that is how it would work, but if we wanna have a discussion about that, then I'm open to discussing that, yeah.
Well, if you have the time within, the hours that we're already paying you, that'd be great.
Yeah,
If we have to pay you extra hours, we need to know that.
I would say, looking over the next couple of months, I believe things should be lightly calmer. I would say I could probably fit in about
2.5, maybe 3 hours into my 22.5 hour week. And then probably an additional 3 hours on top of that, rounded around to, what is that, 25 hours and a half.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even, possible for you to do that kind of studying during the office hours.
I think, dedicating time to the course is one thing. Readings, videos, tests, quizzes, things like that, is one thing. I definitely think that, time at home studying, making sure that I'm grabbing the concept will be more so on my time than what I'm actually dedicating to the course, doing the coursework, what have you. Yeah.
I'd just like to say, I think we want to encourage folks to do the exact thing that you're doing. And I think that if there's a financial reason to encourage that, we should really seriously consider it. Because it really benefits the town of Woodbury.
Right.
I mean, it's great professional development for you, but it
Yeah, and
will help the town of Woodbury, no doubt.
Yeah,
So-
and sorry, I may sneeze. Whew. Let's see.
We can do something else if you need to.
But yeah, I think all in all, like I said, 80 hours for the first certificate, another 28 for the government and reporting. Like I said, probably about 4 or 5 months. And then there's options to continue in courses as well to keep me current.
So did they come, basically it's on your time? I mean, you do it when you can. It's not like you have to show up for a Zoom class or anything like that.
Not from my understanding when I was looking over it that it was asynchronous. So essentially meaning I can do it whenever. Sometimes with these certificates there is like a final project that you have to turn in that they give a recommended time period, things like that. So there's recommended time and dedication to the course, but it is asynchronous.
So I agree with Chris that this should be encouraged, and I think it's great that you're, seeking out ways to expand your knowledge. But I am curious, just like how it's worked in the past. Like when Brandy came on back, I don't know who was around at that point, but I know she took a bunch of trainings to learn the position better. And I'm just, I have no idea how that is typically done. Like, were those done on the clock, or were they on her own time, or like how?
She only did one course, I think. I
Okay.
think it was a community college course.
It was before
It was
me.
before you, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't remember.
Okay.
I would hope it would have been reimbursed.
I mean, I would hope so too, and also that it would be on the clock. But I'm wondering, like,
I
I don't know, Robin,
long
if you
time.
or like other people in the office have taken any kinds of trainings, if that's
Not through the town, I did through the state.
Oh,
And you
okay.
got reimbursed for the course at the end of it if you passed.
Gotcha.
But we
Okay.
did not get paid time for taking the course.
It was done on your own time.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Another point here, in previous jobs that I've had, other companies have offered to pay for the course and the time with a signed contract saying that you will be here for another year, 4 years, depending on how much they were investing. So I'd be open to that as well.
Okay.
Make everybody more comfortable too. Yeah.
That's a great idea. I like that.
But you can't do that, she's elected.
Oh yeah, I guess you can.
What?
You do it for a year,
Good
right?
point.
Yeah.
Good
That's
point.
true.
Can you, so just to clarify, so it's be $40 a month for the subscription?
Yes.
Yeah, and then and that gets you access to all of these classes, or
Yes.
is there a fee to enter
It
these
gets
classes?
me to all of these classes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we would be deciding on is roughly how many hours a week in addition, plus the 40 hours, $40 a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say roughly, probably an additional 4 to 6. Let's
Yeah.
say an additional 4 to 6 a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I scanned your email, like sitting in the driveway before coming here. So is it, I might have misunderstood, is it just 40 a month, or I thought there was like also a course fee for the specific courses?
No, just $40 a month.
Okay.
So that, I think I gave you the average of what the town would spend over the, course of 4 to 5 months. Anywhere from $180, I think that was if I did everything in 4 months, to like $220.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it was 5 months.
yeah.
So that's a pretty good deal for, to get all that
Yeah,
education for 40-something dollars a month.
yeah, I'd say so.
Wow.
I like these courses. They're well put together. Actually, John was the one who pointed out, what is it? What is the
Intuit.
Intuit, an Intuit course, which led me to find this Coursera course, which is also backed by Intuit. So it's just a little bit more in depth. It's probably 2-3 times the hour and content than the Intuit course that John gave me.
And it's focused on government accounting, which the Intuit courses didn't offer.
But the second one is, yeah.
But what I mean, Intuit, the free Intuit ones didn't have government accounting.
Yeah.
What is Intuit, did they do taxes or they do bookkeeping also, or?
We do both, QuickBooks and TurboTax.
Oh, that's right, okay, and Intuit is the company that produces QuickBooks, right? Okay.
So you would be looking for a motion from the board to approve your request to?
I believe so, yes.
I'll make that motion.
Alright.
I make a motion that we approve Lily's request to pursue training for the cost of $40 a month to be reimbursed by the town.
Yep, and did you want to include the 4 to 6 hours a week?
Yes, let's include that as well.
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, no discussion. All those in favor of approving the request for professional development from Lily Bear, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It's be a benefit to the town, for sure. All right. Anything else?
That is all for me.
All right. Thanks, Lily. Al, how you holding up?
Good,
Good.
good. We had a little break in action here the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
The weather's been good. I've got a gut feeling that we're dodging the bullet with this season, but I don't wanna jinx it. I really think that most of the mud, most of the frost is out already in a lot of spots.
Wow.
So I think what we've seen is what we're gonna get. There might be more, more precip falls from the sky, it's gonna continue, mess up our roads, but, in between, when we get sunny days, we're grading, we're raking, trying to get them shaped back up. And, so that's all we can do at this point. Mother Nature's throwing a lot at us right now with cold, frozen ground, and then thawing out in the afternoon. This morning we had snow, so it's just that time of year. So we're trying to keep up with that. We were able to finish the little addition for the salt truck, so that's all closed in
Oh, good.
and done. So, that's really all I have to report. I feel like I have to be a bad guy, sort of. And with an issue that's been ongoing, it's just been stuck in my craw. And it's the signs, the bicycle signs. Sorry, Skip. I just want to throw it out there. I did some research on a different sign because the sign that we've chosen, I don't agree with. I think it lines us up for liability. And so I did some research. I went to the place where we buy signs, WorkSafe, and they have a chart, a whole calendar of signs that are legal for their federal signs. And so what I come up with the help of the guy that works there, is a symbol, a bicycle symbol, and optional, we could put another sign that says ahead. So that would warn traffic that's coming to this blind corner, which I think is the concern. That would warn the people that there might be a bicycle there. What it takes away is the liability of the bicycle having the full lane of the road. I think that's where we will get in trouble. If there's an accident with a bicycle and a car, and that sign says the bicycle has the right of way, either the town or the bicycle or the car is gonna be huge liable. I think we need to share the roads. I don't think we should be saying one has more right than the other, and that's what that sign says to me.
So you guys probably already know this. Alfie, thank you. I have been uncomfortable with the wording on the signs since I first heard about it, and I did vote to approve them, but it was with a feeling that it wasn't the right wording, and I pretty much immediately afterwards regretted voting that way. So I would absolutely love to reconsider the wording on the signs. I also find I think it's confusing. I think it doesn't really do the intended purpose. The intended purpose is just to keep people safe and warn them, you know, that it's a dangerous corner. And I think that can be done in a better way. So thanks for looking up alternatives.
Can I skip to weigh in? Because I know that you have some, because I also am a little bit, I can see both ways, but I feel like my understanding of the law is that bicyclists also have it's lawful for them to use that full lane, not the opposite lane, but the full lane of traffic.
That's correct.
On blind corners. So that, to me, is what that sign is trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So when we were writing the town plan, we did extensive research on where these signs should go, where the most dangerous places in Woodbury to ride a bicycle. And one of the members of the planning commission took some time, did the research, and that's the sign that we came up with, because the wording was correct based on the statute that's in the state of Vermont. So it wasn't done recklessly. We did our research, not only with the signage, but also the locations. So, as you said, bikes can share a lane. That's part of the law in Vermont. They can absolutely do that.
Meaning they have the ability to, in certain situations, the legal right to enter the middle of the lane on blind corners. Okay.
Precisely.
Okay.
So we did that during the course of writing the town plan, and that's what we came up with. So here we are again. Sounds like we're going to kick the can down the road with more signage, and I think that's the waste of the select board's time and Alfie's time too, to research it all over again. It was done, I think, the correct way, citing statutes. It's up to you. If you guys want to change it, go right ahead, but I don't believe the town would be held liable for anything for posting that sign as long as it's posted correctly.
Diane.
I agree that it's legal. I mean, I did some research too, that bikes have the right to use the whole lane, which, on a dirt road, it's like, I don't know, there's hardly room for a bike and a car to pass anyways. But I still think it's...
It has to be for a sign, because that lane is so much smaller.
Anyways, I still think it's dangerous. I think people shouldn't be, people who are riding their bikes shouldn't be encouraged to ride in the middle of the road if there's a car coming. They should be, huh?
I think it's not it's not the middle of the road, but the middle.
Well, middle of the lane. I mean, the road isn't as wide as this car, this table. Anyways, that's always been my concern, is that the sign is misleading. We could just say curve ahead, watch for bikes or something like that.
That's not legal.
So here's not legal?
It's not a legal sign.
It has to be a sign that's,
Yeah,
that's
that's
registered
approved.
with the.
Yeah, well, there's a million different options of signs.
I'd be a lot more comfortable with blind corner, anything that warns you, because the other piece for me, aside from the fact that I still think that the wording's confusing, whether or not it's technically correct, I also feel like there's other people besides bicycles using the roads, and it feels a little bit like a special interest. And
There
I
are
would.
special interests in town.
Right, and I get
Right.
that, but I'd rather see it applied more broadly, and I just think for everyone's safety, it would make more sense. So like, Alfie, in your research, I know you saw there was a bicycle, option, I don't know what else there is, you know, that's,
There's really not a lot, there's,
Okay.
the only one that would have been close is a symbol, it's just a symbol of a bicycle. And we would put that in the same locations as the original, because that's where they've dictated a curve. So that would mean that, you know, the vehicle is gonna see that sign and say, oh, maybe there's a bicycle here. Which they should have that mindset regardless of where they are,
Should, yeah.
but they don't, let's face it, they don't.
that's a reminder, people need
But
reminders.
it's a reminder on these invisible corners. And that's why I think I agree with some sort of sign, I just don't like the full lane wording. So I'm thinking a symbol of a bicycle, which is large, it's 30 by 30, it's gonna be very visible.
Wow, that's
And then, like I said, the option would be, you could put ahead, if you got bicycle ahead, which would be two different signs on the same post.
I mean, I like that better.
Just so you know, Alfie did order the signs as he was directed at the last meeting, but then when we started having conversations on email, he
I
canceled it for, yeah.
Just so.
You guys
He
can
did.
blame me for that, I brought up the
Just
fact
so
that I'm
that we can-
uncomfortable with the signs. So,
Hey,
thank
The
you.
other option is we could do maybe some of the signs and see whether,
Well,
yeah. Oh, and I was also gonna ask, I don't know who's in charge of this anymore, but if you could, maybe prioritize which of those 7 sites are most important, so the guys know how to schedule their time.
all 7 of them.
What?
All 7 of them are important.
Oh, well then, no prioritization then.
And to put a sign up that said blind curb isn't addressing the problem. The problem or the issue is that there are bicyclists on the road. And it's just the nature of that road, you're gonna have bicycles in the way. So in blind corners, you know, a sign should be there. If it's a bicycle that says bicycle ahead or whatever, it can't be just a blind corner because that's not addressing the issue.
No, I agree, it's gotta, we're trying to solve a problem of safety with bicycles. So we have to say bicycles one way or another. And I think a symbol of a bicycle does that for us. And the option of the ahead adds $434
I mean,
to that.
if you add the words ahead bicycle.
It's a separate sign.
It's a separate sign,
So you've
okay.
got the symbol, the bicycle symbol at the top, and then it's just another small placard at the bottom that says ahead.
So the bicycle, the 30 by 30 sign is how much?
We can break it down. They're $96 a piece,
Okay.
and we needed 14 of them.
And then another $400 if we get the
40.
ahead.
Right, so the sign, the ahead sign is $31.
Skip.
So all in, you're $130 roughly for both, not counting the posts and the anchors, which we've already purchased
Yeah.
last year, because I thought this was happening last year, quite honestly.
So you guys approved the expenditure for these signs at least once, if not twice. And I know right after we completed the town report, that iteration of the select board approved the signs too, and put it in the budget. So I'm sure someplace in Lily's budget is a line item signs.
Very
And
definitely.
to kick the can down the road once more, I think is just, irresponsible.
Well, I think what we're up against is that we have, not that we're up against anything, but we have made a motion and have approved signage that exists. We asked Alfie to purchase those signs, so it would require someone from the select board to make a motion to,
I'll do that.
okay. So go ahead.
One question. How much were the original signs?
I feel like it was $800
About
total.
$100 a piece, were they?
No,
What?
800 apiece.
No,
No, I said 800 total.
100 a
Yeah,
piece, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. No, let's,
I was thinking it was more than that, but
there's 14 signs, right?
there's 14. Yeah, I don't have that figure with me. I was thinking it was closer to 1,200.
I feel like I have an email from Mike. Yeah, from Michael Sapp. I feel like it was like about $830. It sticks in my head.
Yeah.
Question?
I wanted to know how much the original signs were compared to the ones that Alfie's looking at now.
Yeah, I don't have that figure. I probably do at the shop, but he didn't add that into his quote. I wish he had, because then I could have had that comparison for us.
Regardless of that, I think just having them be clear, whether there's a little bit of a cost difference or not, to me, it's more important that the signs are clear, not confusing, not distracting with people wondering what the heck they mean. So I would like to make a motion, that we go back on our previous decision, to order the specific bicycle signs, and to instead order all of the signs, 14 of them, the ones that Alfie's suggesting, the picture of the bicycle, with the ahead placard, and put those in all the locations that were specified.
All right.
So that total would be $1,790.25.
Do I need to say that in my motion?
I don't think so.
I'll second it if you need a second.
I don't think we need a
So,
second.
okay.
We just need to have discussion. I know we've had discussion. So I could be wrong, but I think that this is more money than the other one, which is fine.
Yeah.
I will probably vote against this
Okay.
because I think that the research has been done. We've had this conversation numerous times, and I think it was a pretty thorough discussion they had at the planning commission. So that's my thoughts.
Okay.
I have, you could do both sides. It would be a little more expensive, but you could do both sides and be totally clear that there might be a bicycle in the middle of the lane ahead around the blind corner.
Yeah, but I think we're saying that, I think the three of us think that that's kind of a dangerous option for people to know. I mean, yeah, okay, legal, but whoever gets hit, it doesn't matter who's legal. I mean, yeah, you could get sued, but the worst thing is that somebody would get hit because they didn't yield to a car, so.
That's not really my issue.
My fear
Yeah.
is that it gives one side more right away than the
Yeah,
other.
right.
That wording says a bicycle has right to use the full lane. So where does it say that a car has a full right, or a truck for that matter? There's nowhere, it's general knowledge,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Right.
But that sign is saying the opposite. It's saying that the bike has full right to use that lane.
Which they do.
So when a car comes up behind it, what's the car supposed to do?
Slow down.
Pass it.
Pass it.
No, it
safely,
can't.
right.
Safely, yeah.
Or just slow down and go behind the bike, which is in the middle of the lane.
Because normally what's going to happen is those folks are going to use that lane so that they're not, in danger. Once they get around and they have clear sight, they're going to move back to the shoulder of the road, which allows vehicles to go past. So this is only in places where it's,
On a gravel road, if you're on a bicycle, getting onto the side of the road the soil is much looser.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to get on the side of the road. So, I mean, when I'm on the roads of the bicycle, I'm right in the middle. That's the best best part. And if I hear a car coming, then I do move over, or I get in the total opposite lane, which is not legal, but I feel I'm safer there, because the car doesn't know that I'm there. I can hear them coming a long ways out, but I think that's the reason for the full lane sign, is that for a bicyclist, getting onto the shoulder on a gravel road is pretty dangerous.
Well, so is being in the middle of the road, so.
I think we just need to slow the cars down, and whatever sign does that best
Yeah, that would
is
be-
the best sign.
So let's get
Any
this,
further discussion?
I also agree with the full lane thing. Most people say, what?
Right.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So,
I know, you know, in cities, places with paved streets and roads, they always encourage bicycles to move with the traffic. And, in those cases, it might make sense for bicycles to stay in the middle of their lane, but there is a clearly defined lane, which we don't have here.
Is there any further discussion?
Let's
All right.
clarify the motion.
All right.
Lizzie,
Say it again.
move to rescind the prior decision and to instead have Alfie buy these bicycle signs, which is, well, I
And
should be
install.
writing it down. Use, buy a bicycle
Sign. In addition with a head, right?
ahead.
This is the MUTC.
On the same post.
All right, you want to state it?
The move to rescind our prior decision about the bicycle signs and instead to buy bicycle just a
Bicycle symbol sign?
symbol sign, yeah. With a head,
With the verbiage ahead?
on the verbiage ahead on a separate sign on the same post.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Me.
Okay.
So the motion passes 2-1. And Alpha, you can do that work?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Yes, I think the ground's thawed out enough now, so.
Yeah,
I'll order them, the last batch of signs I got, they came pretty fast, so we can get them up in between gradings and.
okay.
I'm just wondering, Alfie, when you're all done, could you put a shroud on one of them? A black shroud? So that we can have an unveiling?
Not like a pillowcase or something?
You know, it's been 5 years, or 4 years since the town plan went into effect. And finally, we have bicycle sign. It's just an incredible step forward, and we should do something special.
How many weeks is it gonna take you to do
I
that?
can't tell whether you're kidding or not.
You never know.
You're bringing the champagne.
Yes, no, something better. That would be great, because I know several people who would attend and be quite happy.
All
I'll
right,
buy the shroud.
all right.
Okay.
Well, I just wanna put it behind us, as well as everybody else, and I just think that this does it.
Giant step forward for
Great.
mankind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alfie.
I will order them, and however long it takes, I will make time to get them up. In the locations, I think I was sent an email with
You have the
coordinates,
GPS, yeah?
GPS coordinates, that may take a minute to figure out on my phone.
We have a lot of folks using the roads, outside of community members in Woodbury, using the roads in Woodbury for,
yeah, they're
it's part of a
organized.
bicycle tour, I think, and then they run the Muddy Onion through here, which is a bike race.
Several bicycle kind of tours.
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have great roads, but,
Yeah, for sure.
very scenic and if I had time to ride a bicycle, I would as well. Still right now.
It'd be like Gary Ewan when he retired, you know? He's out there on his. Anything else?
Not unless there are questions.
Just thank you for taking the extra time with that.
Yeah, thanks. All right, thanks, Alfie. Mr. Reed, you put a draft survey in our hands.
Sure.
Where'd I do with it?
I'll mention the fiber letter first.
Okay, let's do that.
So the umbrella organization that includes CD Fiber has asked the towns in its jurisdiction to write letters of support for federal funding for building more fiber. This is money that was approved and allocated previously, and current administration is now looking to move it away from fiber to Starlink. It's a letter saying we'd like to have the funding so we can continue to have fiber built in our community.
They actually said that somewhere, that they're thinking of making us deal with Starlink instead of broadband?
It's on the Commerce Department website, yes.
Wow. Yeah.
So, anything more on that, or you want me to move on to?
I just had one note on this letter. You said telehealth services will become more accessible, especially in rural areas where medical facilities may be far away, and you might say that local, the regional health clinics or what medical clinics are being threatened with closure. But anyways, yeah, whatever, somebody will read this.
So you need the select board to sign this as a letter of support.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, oh, great, finally got it all now. Yeah, good, thank you.
Yep, and everybody's on there, so.
We all
Let's start
still
with
have
you.
it. Okay.
I assume you want.
Yeah, I just want to read it
Yeah.
one more time. I did read it on my phone
Sure.
briefly.
Take your time.
Maybe we should say a little something about it for the record. We are writing to express our strong support for the expansion of broadband infrastructure in our community and to highlight the significant benefits of the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Grant program. Reliable and high-speed internet access is essential for modern living, education, healthcare, and so on. Yeah, good idea. Okay.
All right,
Town meeting,
let's do it.
So, has the select board approved that letter of support, or?
We did.
Yes.
so I raised this at the last meeting because there were two things, having chaired the original town meeting study committee, there were two things that we did not adequately consider and tee up in the survey. And those were that the school voting had to be done on Tuesday regardless, that couldn't be changed to Saturday. And the other was that school vacation frequently coincides with the Saturday before our traditional town meeting. So, and the school voting was down pretty sharply this year. You know, town meeting attendance kind of floats around depending on how controversial a subject is on the warning.
Issues.
So I put together a draft survey, which could either be done by letter or online. I'll get to that in a second. Or not done, or tabled and considered for later. You know, it's not like there's a groundswell of people who said we ought to bring this issue up.
I'm sorry? There are people that said that?
No, I said there's not, it's not like there's a groundswell
Oh,
of people
okay,
who
okay,
said
okay.
bring this up.
Okay.
And in talking to, it's actually our daughter who does market research, said, for something like this, you might want to do it, if you're going to do a survey, do it in writing, in paper instead of online, because you get a more accurate reflection. So that's.
So there hasn't really been a groundswell of complaints, right?
Correct.
About having moved the meeting to Saturday. To me, it's like the people who go on vacation because it's school vacation versus the people who couldn't come on a Tuesday because they have to work, which to me seems like those people should be the ones that we made the change for. And afterwards we realize, oh, well, there's certain, I mean, how many people go out of town for school vacation? They get back by Tuesday and they can vote on the school vote anyways, but that's just one of my objections. So I think it's just premature to bringing this whole thing up after just 2 years.
I just wanted a clarification. I didn't totally understand. So Robin, I know you had made the list of how many people attended, and when I had looked at that last, it looked like the 2 town meetings that we've now had on a Tuesday. We've had 2, right?
On a Saturday.
I meant Saturday. Yeah. It looked like they were not very well attended comparatively, but then I think there was a correction made, right?
Right, for 24.
Okay.
And that was over 100 people that attended that one.
Okay, so that was, I don't have a list right here, but, does that mean that that particular town meeting was actually more well-attended than some of the other ones, rather than less
Still
well?
fell a little short.
It was still short, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it's used generally between 120 and 80, between 80 and 120.
Uh-huh.
Seems to be, there were a few years where it was more, but there might have been things going on there.
2010,
Issues,
we
you
got
know.
152.
Yeah.
And in previous, earlier meetings, the school vote actually happened as part of town meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
till
Yeah, I don't know if that makes people show up or not.
I think it did because it had it's usually a pretty significant part of the, town budget.
Well, yeah, in all the years I was town clerk, there was a separate Hazen budget vote that would come up in May, I think. And there would be a separate meeting, and we would do it down at the town office because there was never a lot of traffic or anything to be concerned with. And even though that was the biggest part of our whole budget, people just don't engage that much. They don't understand it. They don't, maybe want to understand it. They vote yes or no based on whether they think it's gonna cost them more or whether they're in favor of education. I think. Anyways, I think historically it has not brought a lot of voters, the school budget in general.
Your feelings?
In general, on the survey?
Yeah, or whether it sounds like Diana would prefer not to go forward with a survey at this point, maybe in the future, but not now.
Yeah, so I have mixed feelings now only after hearing your concerns, Diana, because up until I heard your concerns, I thought it was a great idea. We could give it a little more time, I guess, like do a few more, keep it as it is on a Saturday for a while longer and see how attendance goes. I guess I'm on the fence now.
Yeah, I think 2 years is just not really enough to go back to changing the whole thing, because to change it to begin with was quite a process. And it was very divisive and very difficult, and a lot of people put a lot of time and energy into trying to figure out what was the best way to go, and I think it's I mean, I look out there at town meeting and it looks just like it always did,
And I think it's a good point that you make, that we originally changed it so that more people who had to work on Tuesdays could attend. And now we're maybe thinking about folks that are on vacation, which is an elective kind of activity. So I kind of agree with that. John, I'm sorry if we put you to a lot of work and you heard that.
No,
I heard that.
I'm the one who raised it, and I'm pretty indifferent about it personally.
Yeah.
And if you decide in the subsequent year to do a survey, the draft's written.
Great.
I would like to do the survey. I just, now hearing Diana's concerns, I'm thinking maybe not yet. Like maybe we wait a few years. But I do think we should revisit it, like after a certain
Next year.
amount of
Ask, you
time
know,
has passed.
people, maybe ask people during town meeting next year what they think. You know.
But this would reach more folks.
I mean, well, probably 75% of the people that were there were the people that are always there. There are probably a few that I don't know.
Well, we have almost a year to think about it, if that's what everybody thinks, and we could pose a question at town meeting just to kind of straw poll and then follow it up with a survey if we felt like there were. But as John said, it doesn't seem to be a groundswell of one way or another, really.
Some people were concerned that our town meeting wouldn't end up in March, with it having it on Saturday.
What difference would that make?
I think it has to be, right?
Because,
Well, it could be in February.
right,
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's
that was their concern, that town meeting would not end up in March.
really.
Just like
Huh.
historically, they would.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's
Remember
good,
that.
it can be any of the 5 days before the first Tuesday. So say if the Tuesday, say if March started on a
The
Monday.
first.
Or a Sunday, you know, March 1st was a Sunday. Yeah, it could happen. What difference
Or
would
even
that
if
make?
March 1st was on Tuesday.
Right, right.
It's
that could
definitely
happen.
gonna be
Yeah.
a February
Yeah.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Next year.
Is it next year?
It's here,
Well, maybe we'll hear a lot of noise next year.
right?
More engagement.
Or engagement, right? Nice.
Yeah.
That's a positive spin
Yeah.
on it, Lily. I like it. All right. I don't know that we need to talk about this anymore.
Right.
Sounds like we're gonna table this. Thank you
Yeah.
for doing
Yeah,
it.
thanks for all the work on
Yeah.
this.
Sure.
Sorry if we sent you on a fool's errand. Yeah.
I started it.
Oh, all right. Great.
My hair.
How about Mr. Mott? Oh, too late now. Did you have any feeling one way or the other?
No, I think, I agree with, generally said here, that having it on Saturday enables more people to come. Yeah, so they, I mean, people have the right to take Tuesday off, election day, it's in
They
the
can't
statute.
get paid though, they can't all get
Right,
paid.
you have
so.
to give notice, but people do have a right to take the day off. But
Yeah,
I
but they
think
don't-
Saturday,
Yeah.
Saturday makes it more convenient. And
But you also have people that work Saturdays too.
Well, yeah.
We'll never get. We can hold
In
it.
the medical field, I mean, there's a lot of them that work Saturdays.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, look around, yeah, everybody's,
I think
People
more,
working all the
more
time.
people are able to come on a Saturday than Tuesday, so. And I think we all did a good job trying to respond to the criticisms of the previous meeting, you know, and try to condense the speakers and the elections and the
right.
money business before lunch, we achieved that.
yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just want to make clear, Diana, you said that the town meeting could be held any of the 5 days prior to Tuesday. I believe it's 3 days.
Okay, well, Saturday would be the earliest,
Saturday,
yeah.
Sunday, or Monday.
Monday, Monday, yeah, Saturday, Monday, okay.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no objection, how about we move on to Skip Lindsay's FEMA update?
So I think I handed out my report to this select meeting. So item number 1, there are no changes for the 4720 disaster area projects. We are now post-award monitoring and amendments phases, so we've received all the money from FEMA, which is good for that particular disaster. So number 2, there are no changes either. We received that lovely $815,000 check for the bridge work. And so anyhow, there's no changes on item number 2. We'll either receive $23,700 from the state for their share or $63,500, depending upon if they utilize that $815,000. So if $815,000 takes us up to $1.2 million that Woodbury has received from FEMA. So it depends on how the state looks at that. You know, so anyhow. And item number 3, okay, there are no changes. There'll be $510,000 left over. Okay, and that can be used for mitigation projects. But I have a question on that project, or those 2 projects, the Town Highway 23 and 24 bridges. So in my world, you know, you assign a project manager, and the project manager does a project plan, and there are milestones and scopes of work that payment schedules are based upon. So I'm wondering if the town's engineer will be the project manager. And if so, does the select board believe that he should create a project plan with milestones, completions, you know, partial completions, partial billing? You know, will he be submitting bills to the select board based on partial completion? Or based on material? Once the material is purchased, are these companies going to be wanting partial payment for the material? And then midway through the project, will there be another payment due? So it's just payment schedules, and how's that going to occur? And how will the select board and Lily receive these invoices? That to me would be critical. And lastly, how will we know when it's completed? Is there a sign-off required by the state? I know FEMA's going to want to look at it. They're going to want to sign off to make sure that the scope of work, they wrote a scope of work. We wrote 2 scopes of work. And it kind of meshed, but I just want to be sure that once we're completed, we look at FEMA's scope of work and our scope of work, and they match pretty much. So I just want to be sure that if there are sign-offs required by the state agency of natural resources or whomever, or maybe even the emergency management people may want to sign off on that. I don't know what the sign-offs are required. Perhaps the engineer would know. If he doesn't, I could take a look around and see who signs off on it.
Didn't he say that he would be the project manager, that he would be checking in on it? Alfie didn't?
That's
We
what
have that talk?
That's what I remember, was that he was going to, the way he said about the payments was that they're gonna come in and knock it out really fast. There's not gonna be, you know, periodic payments.
Yeah.
But that would be a question.
It's gonna take, but they're probably gonna take like a week or less, right?
Well, I thought he was being a little aggressive, a
Yeah.
little generous that way. I think it's gonna take longer than that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they gotta wait a week for the concrete to cure
Oh, okay.
before they can build anything onto it.
Oh.
So his estimate of a week, I think, was very generous. I think he was trying to make a point. And I think it's more realistically gonna be at least 3 weeks for each project. So, but even at 3 weeks, even at a month, it's gonna be up to the contractor whether he wants payment a little bit up front, or, you know, they all do it differently. And I think that would be the engineer's job to facilitate. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we have to go out and borrow the money, right? We just have to write a check when the bill comes in, but I guess it's not that easy.
But we also have to report to FEMA when the money goes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Can I make a recommendation that we ask Nate to attend the next meeting, where we can kind of ask him directly all of these questions?
What I could do is I could put together an email and send it to you all, or send it directly to Nate and CC you, and with some of my questions.
That would be good.
I think it would be great, because you have the big picture of questions that I think.
It may be easier for him than coming to a meeting.
Sure, and then if there's any, maybe if there's any reason, I'm sure he'd be happy to even zoom in,
Sure.
if need be, but maybe you could just respond with an email and that would clarify all this. Thank you, Skip.
Okay. And in line with that, there'll be $500 and something thousand left over. So I sent you folks an email with Appendix J of this little guy. I also sent you this too. I'm sure you've read it through and through. There's like 5 pages.
Look at that.
So Appendix J is cost-effective public assistance hazard mitigation measures. So these are the projects that we can spend that $510,000. And so projects like this are way out of my scope. You know, I'm a telecoms guy and stuff like that. I can project manage it, but I can't really put together a statement of work and feel comfortable doing it. So I'd be looking for some help from the select board or members of the public, you know, to identify projects that we could utilize, we could spend that money on based on this Appendix J. And we could do it for culverts. I took a look at the culvert inventory. You know, I can put together a statement of work for a culvert replacement, because that's pretty cut and dry. You know? Just find the culverts that are poor or failing and list them and go out to bid, or if Alfie and his crew can take on that work effort, you know, fine. But there are other things. Go ahead, Mike.
I do have a question about that, just replacing any old culvert. I'm wondering if FEMA wants these to be mitigation projects and there isn't a problem with the culvert, except that it's old and needs to be replaced, is that
Well,
considered
it says-
as a mitigation project?
It is, yeah,
It is,
failed
okay.
culverts, yeah.
Okay.
Anything,
Undersized, I assume, would be.
well, we would have to have some sort of benchmark from the state. What size, what's the minimum size for,
There,
culvert.
Municipal Roads General Permit has,
The Orange Book.
did the Orange Book has it,
the Orange Book probably has that now.
That's
yeah.
18 inch, minimum 18 inch.
18 inch?
But you're suggesting we go much bigger than 18 inch in most places, right?
Some spots, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of these aren't just drainage culverts. I think we identified a couple on County Road
County Road.
that would require H&H studies. And so that would require Agency of Natural Resources to get involved. So, you know, that's, I could project manage that stuff, but I couldn't write a statement of work.
So didn't, at some point, didn't you recommend maybe we get a team together to start scoping out some projects?
Yeah, I did. I put together, well, I think in my last report, I asked maybe we should set up a committee.
Yeah.
Or something like that, some ad hoc committee.
So start looking at, like Alfie said last time, that it'd be better to do a few big projects than a bunch of
Well, it
little
depends if we have
culverts.
big projects.
What?
It would depend if we have. big-
Right, exactly, that's what that's,
$510,000 is not an insignificant amount of money.
right, but it's,
Skip, can we hire, does this fall under mitigation to be able to hire like a consultant to help write those plans and write that scope? Can we use that FEMA money to hire someone to kind of, with the town, identify the projects and then write the scope of work?
We can do that,
We can.
as long as it falls under mitigation.
Yep.
Yeah, so, sure.
so it seems like first we should start with the people who know the roads the most. And,
It's not only confined to roads. There's a section in here about structures. So looking at, it's true.
I did read it, I read it, yeah.
So looking at the town offices, you know, we could replace the windows with hurricane-proof windows. We could replace or add gutters. We could replace the roof. There's a lot of things we could do to mitigate flooding at the town offices. And if we should be audited, you know, we'd be all set with the audit, because it would be just for mitigation purposes only. So we can't go out and buy new computers or a new truck or paint the floor. but we can put a new roof on, we can put gutters on, we can put a new bulkhead in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things we could do to the town offices and the town hall for that matter too.
Yeah, I did notice something about repairing, dirt that had been washed away, which we could, but that's a fairly small project to do, to, you know, repair the dirt that was washed away under the town hall. I think, you know, not talking about a FEMA level project, I don't think, but,
We have $510,000, you know, we
Yeah.
can spend it in one project, 510 grand, or, I don't know, 10 projects for 50 grand, or 100 projects for $5,000, you know, so. But we have to identify projects, we just can't sit on this money. and
Yeah,
Let
so-
it fester, because
Yeah.
someone's gonna want it.
Yeah.
right.
So do you have it sounds like you need some assistance, but do you have a recommendation? I mean, if you don't have that ability to write that scope, I don't.
We do have the engineer, Nate Seacard, that we've worked with for many projects in town,
Yeah.
and we would certainly be able to do that.
If we pick out some projects,
Well, I think we
Yeah.
gotta nail down some projects
right,
Okay.
Right.
that are eligible.
Got
yeah,
it.
And then we got a list, and we can go from there as far as where the money adds up to.
Yep.
yeah,
I mean, there's 2 culverts on the county road, that's probably gonna use up 100 grand right there.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That would require H&H studies for those.
Yes, so we
Yeah,
better we
that's
should
kind
get
of,
going on
that's
that.
kind of
also,
routine
get
for
that
any
started.
culvert that has a perennial stream to.
Yeah, perennial stream, yeah.
So
Permits.
lining up some H&H studies early would be nice, cause they don't care when the project's gonna
Yeah, get
happen,
along
right?
their
But just,
schedule. That's the hardest thing, is getting the state.
right, and these two down here on Bailey Bridge Road and the other one is,
Yeah,
Those
and
would
we
be-
shouldn't have a hard time spending this money, there's so much projects out there.
no, but the time, what, you
Find
know,
the time and the ability to get all the requirements together.
and engineering
Just the
design.
H&H, you know, do the stuff, all that stuff is gonna take some time.
Right,
The rail trail, that could use up a lot of money if we wanted to spend it there.
yeah,
Alfie, do you think you could bring to the next meeting a list, like a prioritized list of potential projects that you see in town? That
I can get a start, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that the snow's gone, I
Yeah.
can see what, you know, there's still damage that we haven't totally repaired,
yeah.
you know, from FEMA, or from the floods rather. And so, yeah, now that the snow's gone, I can see those culverts much better.
I think it would be
Down
helpful
over the bank.
for us to have like hey, this one's the highest priority and this is, you know, way down here, so that as we're pricing these out, you know, we're spending the money in the most important places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but everybody's gonna have a different opinion about priority.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I think Skip was recommending last time that there be a little team of him and Elfie and maybe who else? Michael, and so there must be other people
Yeah.
in town who know the roads and know something about construction that could get together and work on a list. And,
I'm happy
Not me.
to join that
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
I don't know who we could get to volunteer. You know, that's the hard part,
Yeah.
as you well know.
yeah, well, it's not a long-term project, it's just a,
Right.
yeah,
So could we get that engineer who's working on Town Highway 23 and 24 bridges?
Nate,
Yeah, might he be interested in, we could start writing checks.
We can pay him.
We can pay him out of that
yeah.
Yeah.
$500,000.
I think that makes
As a
sense.
retainer or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
If you're
Any other
planning on
engineers in
emailing him anyway,
Yeah, I'll ask him.
We still have Chris Temple, he gives good prices. He's in Woodbury.
He's the reason why we have this 500.
I know, maybe he could help us spend it.
Honestly.
I mean, he does live
The
in,
first quote together.
he does live in Woodbury,
Yeah.
anyways,
So, yeah, any engineer, anybody, you know.
Yeah. Let's start with Nate.
he's used to doing big projects, but Nate, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna
Chris
take
is
time.
swamped.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Nate knows town, unless anybody has. And we could start there and he can say no, and then we can.
Yeah, branch out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to have big projects. You know, hunting elephants, you can have
Well,
rabbits.
I think a lot of the engineers, it's gonna come to what they have for time.
Right.
I mean, they're working for all towns around, they
Yeah.
do private stuff, they're, you know, I'm sure they're booked for the summer. But if we can get them to commit,
I'd like to get something done with the town offices.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And who that person might be to give a quote or put together an RFP to replace the windows. They would have to be specific windows, hurricane, wind-resistant window, and I can get the specifications from FEMA, what they'll pay for.
Yeah.
And the type of roofing, I can get that, gutters. You know, there's things I can do, but I just can't do.
I think,
That's not my scope.
I don't wanna volunteer Liz, but I'm gonna. I think the two of us can help with that.
I'll join you in, yeah.
I won't.
We had a hard time getting somebody to paint the town hall roof, but we did get somebody to paint it a few years ago, but before it was painted, it looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
But now it looks good, but it's still old.
Still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially if you can help us with the research for specific windows or specific roofing material, that we can help write that, for sure.
And I'll see if I can stretch it a little bit to get an emergency exit in there too.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what,
Yeah.
where, have you pictured somewhere where there could be another back door?
No, but I want one.
I know, but haven't you scoped out where it could go? You're in there every day, you might have some
I'm
idea.
actually thinking that window by my office
Yeah,
is what I'm
there's a
thinking.
window by the
Window
copy
door.
machine there, or the other
No,
one?
no, the window by my office, my desk,
Yeah, the one that goes out back or the one that goes
to the
to the
side.
south, yeah.
On to number 4, I'll be speeding with this one. So we're trying to get Michael's projects, and we're trying to get money from our mitigation funds to pay for our match. And one of the engineers you're working with, Michael, said, no, we can't use the money to do that. And he quoted a CFR Code of Federal Regulations 200-306, Part B, Item 5. So he doesn't believe we can utilize any of these excess mitigation funds for our match for another FEMA project.
So how about using the money for the project itself? Like for the bank armoring up here on the,
Yeah, you could
Cabot Road.
probably do that, but Michael it's a brick grant or something like that.
Well, the person had brought up the issue of using federal funds to pay for the match.
Match federal fund.
Of a federally funded project to begin with, was the person that we've been working with the brick grant, which is the Buck Lake Brook Watershed Study. I mean, but then I'm just reading more of this, of what this, somebody that Skip contacted is saying that there's a certain project. So the person that made that statement is still pretty new doing stuff, but I have a feeling he's probably right.
Well, what I read, I think we may be right.
Yeah, so,
The funds are out of FEMA's hands now, and they've gone through the state, and went rinsed through the state, now we have them. So that's why I reached out to the Vermont's recovery officer saying, hey, we have a project, we have a 10% match, let's do $15,000, can we use excess obligated funds? And she said, she didn't know. So she said she would write that. So that was sent out March 12th. Haven't heard anything from her.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying.
and the other project is the USDA, from USDA, federal money, I assume. So there could be a question about that too, and I could try to find out from them.
Is that a FEMA grant or USDA?
It's USDA.
Yeah, I think we're all right with that,
Yeah, okay. Well,
but I'll find out.
Bye. You think, what, you think it's all, you're all right with?
I think we're all right. It's a USDA.
yeah, the one for the bank of Buck Lake Brook
Yeah.
that washes out with
That's
Cabot
the
Road.
US.
That's from the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, which is a USDA, that's under the
Yeah, but
USDA.
that had a pretty big match, right?
Yeah, that's a 25% match, but I did ask the person, would Woodbury qualify for the 10% match? And he was gonna look into that, I don't think I ever really heard back from that. But I guess we should probably try to find that out too. But, with that particular grant, they are paying for the total cost of the engineering. And then it would be the town, and then they would pay for 75% of the implementation, the construction, or whatever you want to call it, and then they would require a 25% match from the town. And then the other side.
Which we kind of decided we would only pursue that if
we
they
had
had the
the
match
match
from
over.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other project in that program is at the end of County Road, on Chris Byram's property where
Oh, right.
the Class 4 road, the Woodbury, Mountain Woodbury Road, I think it's called, where the brook, in a heavy rain situation, spills into the road, and then it's pretty much flows through her property. It's eroded the property pretty badly now, and now there's a huge pile of sort of slate gravel, I'll call it, that's laying right in front of a major culvert that we have near the road. So another flooding event is probably gonna fill that culvert, and then the road will wash out.
So is that a possible FEMA mitigation project?
Well,
if it
that's
doesn't
something
get
that we could do, the town could do that, I think.
Add to the list of,
But it is one that they have, those are the two sites that they chose
They
to
approved,
to
yeah.
fund. So they would be doing, again, the engineering work, and then it would be up to the town to come up with a 25% match, and if the town chose to, or if the road crew chose to, I mean, that, would probably be able to do that, the work. I guess it would depend on what the design work is. But, so that one we could do without the federal money if we chose to, if we didn't have the federal money to use.
but Skip, I believe you said that some of these projects that we do with the $500,000 would not require a huge match?
Wouldn't require any.
Any match.
Any
It's our
match.
money.
Yeah, so-
Okay.
I shouldn't say it's our money. Well, it is our money now.
So there is some possibility here because we had budgeted about, I can't remember whether it's 30 or 40 grand for culvert work. That if
30.
that money from FEMA, or the leftover FEMA funds are used for that, we would have that pool that we had dedicated for a match to the grant work. And it wouldn't require us to consult FEMA to pay that match, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the budget is the budget. And
Right.
We kind of switch and swap.
Yeah, I mean, if we decide that you don't need $30,000 for culverts, we
Well,
use
if
it
there was a
for.
if it was a culvert, a project that was putting in a culvert, we could take that culvert budget money and pay for
Yeah.
the match.
Yeah. I guess my point is we should still continue to pursue the grant work, right?
Yeah.
And even though we had potentially, we're hoping we'll reuse the FEMA money as the match, but we don't have to do that if we have the funds to go ahead with it, right?
I mean, I think with these grants that Michael talked about right now, those are no-brainers. They're
Cool.
gonna do the engineering, they're gonna pay for it, all we gotta do is come up with the 20% match.
Yep.
That's in the bag.
Okay.
Yeah, but that
That's most
20%
of the
match
work.
was pretty high for that one project on Cabot Road. It was like a $100,000 project, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact number, I haven't at home on a file, nothing in mind.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, the Cabot Road, Buck Lake Brook, that was a pretty significant match.
And that, again, is just a study, right?
No.
No,
No, that, sorry.
there's the the brick, which is building resilient infrastructure,
Yeah.
something like the bank that affects the Cabot Road washing out, which did happen in the past, before these floods of the last 2 summers. That's the concern, and that's one of the emergency watershed protection program
Got it, okay.
grants. The other one is over at the end of Dog Pond Road on the property owned by Chris Byron.
Okay.
So those two would have the engineering done, paid for, and then the 75% of the work would be paid for, the town would have to come up with a 25% match. The study is, that would be, I'm assuming that would be a 90%, 10% match. And that would be, and that study with the application, which we haven't been awarded yet either, that's the whole other thing. But that would be, it's the estimate for the study was about $150,000, and the town's 10% match would be $15,000. And that's basically to look at the whole watershed from the end of the drainage of Buck Lake through, there's a huge, large wetland area above it, and then at Carol Ray's property is when it drops down into the village, starts dropping down into the village. So it would take into consideration the whole watershed from Buck Lake to try to figure out how we can not have the village flood every time it rains.
So Alfie, your recommendation is if we can swing it, we should go for it, for these grants, if they're awarded.
These grants are valuable.
Okay.
I don't think we should worry about the money later. Honestly, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So number 5, we completed the reconciliation of category Z, administrative costs for disaster 4720, and sent that into FEMA. And the reason why FEMA wanted it now, that particular project manager is leaving in like 6 days. So we'll be breaking in our 6th project manager. So she just wanted to make sure that the person she leaves this project to is, all the information is current and there's no loose ends.
Yeah.
So, but we'll still be charging money to that disaster until the 2 bridges are completed.
So this is gonna clean up whatever category Z is that you accumulated so far? Or is that what the $57,000 is?
That's what they'll pay.
That's what they'll pay, okay.
Yeah, 57,000.
You don't want that much?
No, I'll be in Florida.
With
No,
your
so I
golf?
think so far, last year was a busy year, so I think my total compensation was like $3,500. $28.14.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay, for disaster 4810, July 2024, everything is status quo. You know, it's still stuck in hazard mitigation planning, and I don't know what more I can do to get it out of there. It's just in FEMA limbo in Puerto Rico.
Well,
Yeah. Maybe I'll take a trip down there and ask them why.
well, they might not let you back in.
Party administrative,
work down there.
category Z charges.
See, oh, yeah. And so we'll continue to monitor any decrees made by the new administration to take our money away. And haven't seen another one yet, which is good.
Okay.
One's enough.
One's enough. Thank you.
Any questions?
It's pretty thorough. Nice job.
So we will be going, the more I think about shrubs ceremony, we building a shower center.
All right.
Just have to talk to Michael Sadler and see what his calendar looks like. I'll bring one of my motorcycles up there. And,
Oh, we could get a motorcycle sign too?
no,
Oh, no? Okay.
Well, let us know.
I will. I'll put it on the front porch for him.
Michael, do we have more to discuss about grants?
Well, we could talk about, if Skip is done, we could talk about the V-Trans grant.
Okay.
And there isn't much to say about it. Alfie and I and Lily will be meeting with the District 6 staff at the town office this Thursday to go over the grant and other financial components that, you know, the money that we get from V-Trans for class 2 and 3 roads every year. It's pretty much looks like it's already figured out. Alfie and I did meet to talk about some of this last week, and we'll continue and pretty much complete the different forms that V-Trans needs in order for us to apply for the grant. So again, the grant application hasn't been done yet and hasn't been submitted. We have until the middle of April. There are a couple of yearly forms that the select board could sign tonight if they wish, or there's no rush on it, but they could be done after this meeting too. One of them is a certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and the network inventory. The select board in 2020 did approve the new town road and bridge standards, so technically the town is in compliance with that. And then with the inventory, this is a new thing. The road inventories came about with the municipal roads general permit, mostly for erosion issues. We did do an initial inventory. By 2027, it will need to be reassessed. And we do have a grant already from Better Roads for that inventory, which will happen either this summer, in a way preferably in the summer of 2026, so that we can include it in the budget. We didn't include it in the 2026 budget for that reason, that town match for that, which is only about $1,500. It's pretty small. So we are technically in compliance with the town road and bridge standards and the network inventory, and if the select board felt okay about that, I have a form that you can sign. And then the other is another form that they asked that's part of the financial plan is that and I'll just read it. It's asking we, the legislative body of the municipality of Woodbury, certify that funds raised by municipal taxes are equivalent to or greater than a sum of at least $300 per mile for each mile of class 1, 2, and 3 town highways in the municipality. So I got out my calculator, and we basically have 44.5 miles of class 1, 2, and 3 roads, which the $300 per mile comes to $13,368. In our FY26 town highway budget, we have $755,882 designated. So I think we more than meet that concern that V-Trans would have. So there's another form that the select board could sign tonight if they want for that, and we could give that to the people on Thursday, or if you want to research any of this a little bit more before you sign it, like study up what are the town road and bridge standards that have been set for by the state, we can wait until later.
We fought that for years and finally gave in.
These would need to be signed and to V-Trans by April 15th, which is the grant deadline date.
If it'll make it easier for you, I think we could sign them now.
Okay,
I
if you don't
agree.
have any concerns.
Feel good about this.
Yeah, the road and bridge standards are
Still.
back in the day. We used to we realized that it was cheaper to, or just as good to do things on our own without their standards. Because their standards would make it so much more expensive, but we finally gave in at some point.
Right, but you won't get state aid if you don't.
Right, yeah, now it's, yeah.
If you're literally legible.
The other part of the financial planning that we'll be doing is, they basically have set a rate for per mile of class 2 and 3 roads. Class 1 roads are basically the state highways, so, and so we do have an estimate of what we would be receiving in fiscal year '26 from V-Trans for the class 2 and 3 roads. It's an estimate because at the moment, the state budget hasn't been established yet. So, and then there's just some other, we project or estimate what our winter maintenance is and our non-winter maintenance and major construction projects that we'll be undertaking in fiscal year '26. And it's just kind of a formality, so they sort of have a sense of informality. So that's the other part of what we'll be doing on Thursday. Great.
So that estimate we would use for budgeting for the next budget season.
This would be actually
For revenue.
this will be for fiscal year '26 for the budget that we've already passed at town meeting.
Okay.
But this would establish how much money we would get for the class 2 and 3 roads that we get every year from V-Trans. That helps pay.
So we already estimated something
already
in
Yeah,
the budget,
yeah.
yeah.
I'd be curious to know how we
And the
did.
income,
Yeah.
yeah,
I actually had a town report here now.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and they don't know, they don't know how much money they're gonna get. I know from taking part in the Central Vermont Regional Planning stuff, especially with the Transportation Advisory Committee, it's looking like the state will probably not be as generous with its funding for roads. They're trying to cut their budgets a little bit too.
They're trying to cut their budget, or they're trying to prepare
They're
for
trying
having
to
the budget cut for them?
It's anticipated that there won't be as much funding from the state for road work, both for V-Trans state roads and for towns. There's another grant that we have, an application for better roads to fix the Wilbur Road, and they did review the grant applications, but they haven't announced the grants. Again, they're waiting for the state to come up with how much money they would be giving that program. So we don't know yet if that grant is going to. Yeah, and obviously the grant that we're applying for is for the implementation of the culvert here right in the village. Valley Lake Road.
Oh,
All right.
which they pretty much told us in the past that was
Well, usually
good,
if we've got a grant to pay for the engineer,
Yeah.
and that's been done,
Yeah.
and usually it's kind of a slam dunk. If
Yeah.
you did that, then the next grant, applying for the implementation that
Yeah,
you get the.
but how can you have a price? I mean, it's been so long, it seems like,
No,
do they care? Do they,
um,
how do they,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hefty price already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
yeah,
Well, the engineer will probably update
Yeah.
a cost estimate.
and Nate was the engineer for that. So.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Michael. All right, so I apologize, we let this go over a little bit. But the next, and I'm gonna switch this around because one is pretty quick and the other might take a little bit of time. In our discussion portion, I just wanted to let the two of you know that I'm gonna get a separate email for the select board. I think it's probably a good idea, but I
You
think
mean
that's up
for
to
you,
everybody.
I mean, the select board has an email.
I think for me, yeah, so that I will, like, my work email, which I get
Yeah,
all the select
probably
board
should,
stuff
yeah.
comes to, is gonna be separate from, so anyways, my email will change. If you want, we'll get in touch with John, suggested Skip Marcassani, and he would set us up with a new one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little
makes
bit of pain in the
sense.
neck, I think it makes sense,
It's
but.
really hard to find things because they're all.
Who wrote this email?
Yeah.
Right.
So I should reach out to Skip if I wanted to get one.
Or if
Yeah.
everybody
Talk
wants
to
to
him
do
and-
it, we can all, send one email saying we would like to
Okay.
pursue this. If
Okay.
you would like to do that, Diana.
I guess so.
Great. All right. that was
We
an
do
easy one.
have the select board at
Right.
woodburyvt.org.
Which goes to Robin, right?
Right,
You-
because
Yeah.
the way it was first set up, it would come to all of us, and then like you have like 3 people responding, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
So we decided to just funnel it through Robin
Yeah.
and she'll
Send
decide where it
anything
goes,
important, yeah.
anything. Which she sends it to all of us anyway, so we still could all end up responding differently, but as long as we keep each other notified of what we're responding to.
So I'll send an email to Skip with the two of you CC'd, that we're kind of interested in pursuing that.
Okay.
And go
One
ahead.
issue, Diana, with doing that, notifying other select board members of what you're dealing with, is that the open meeting laws would probably,
It's better to do that than not to do it.
well, I agree, but technically if 2 select board members are communicating back and forth about one particular issue,
We
then.
know that.
Okay,
So
It's all public
Well,
if
I would
somebody wants
just
to look
send the
at it.
stuff to the chair, and the chair can decide what to
Same
do with it.
difference, yeah, it's the same difference.
Michael, can you explain your concern?
so when you have a select board with only 3 members.
Yep.
Anytime 2 members are communicating outside of a public meeting, you're basically breaking the open meeting laws, because 2 members are a quorum.
Right.
So, but it makes it almost impossible to do work outside of the meeting that, the real bugger, of course, would be is if 2 members sort of made a decision about something outside of the meeting, so.
Yeah, we're pretty
It's-
careful about that.
It's a part of the open meeting laws that really doesn't work for a town with only 3 select board members. If there were 5 members and 2 of you were communicating about something, it
But
would
we
be
still,
an issue.
even 5 members would like to have some contact in between the meetings, so we don't have to worry about that part, but,
John, you
Just a
wanted to
couple
mention
things.
something?
One is that doesn't affect the email one way or the other.
Right.
Right. But if you're
And
using
the
town
other-
email,
and the
then
other
those town
thing
emails
is
are
that the,
also.
open meetings
public.
law applies if you're deliberating. If it's an administrative meeting, then it doesn't apply.
oh, interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, and in my understanding of the open meeting law, communications, you can provide information, you just can't reply, because that's termed a discussion. So you could exchange information, you just can't, you can't deliberate over issues. You
Okay.
can work on day-to-day administrative, business matters, or scheduling an agenda for a meeting, yeah. But you just
So
couldn't-
me sending an email to Skip Marcassani, CCing the 2 of these folks is fine.
That's
Because we're
administrative,
just
right?
doing administrative tasks.
Yep.
Great.
You just couldn't, Diana or Lizzie couldn't
Yeah.
enter that conversation with a comment on the issue.
Never happens.
Yeah.
No, we can always go back to using the phone. Of course, now with everybody having cell phones, people can look, record that.
So in, just paying attention to the time, I'd love to get to this other item. And I had mentioned it, kind of suggested it at the last select board meeting. And I didn't get a chance to speak to everybody, but I did get a chance to kind of get a pull and a feel on everybody here and what they thought. So my suggestion is that we change the schedule just a little bit. Actually, it's kind of a lot. And that we have this kind of like full encompassing meeting once a month for sure. And my suggestion would be that it would be that second Tuesday of the Monday of the month. The school board used to be Tuesday, so the second Monday of the month would be this kind of all-encompassing meeting where we would get everybody's reports and we would go through it. That fourth Monday of the month would be, we could do it here, although I would recommend that we did it at the town offices and have it be still recorded, still, a public meeting that we would hold public comment, but that it would be more of a work meeting, and that unless we needed to have that whole complement of items on the agenda, we wouldn't. So, for instance, Alfie, if you didn't have anything new to report from the last select board meeting, we wouldn't have to have the road commissioner report at that fourth Monday meeting. If you did, by all means, you would let us know, and then that would be on the agenda for sure. And then that would give us an opportunity at that meeting to kind of dig into some of the things that I feel like I especially don't have a great grasp on, but like, when we look at that treasurer's report or the budget, for me to ask questions of Lily that doesn't take up, already we're 2+ hours here. And not singling you out, Lily, but like, all kinds of like, questions that we might be able to like dig a little deeper on. And we can use it as a work meeting to, for instance, I know that I need to email Skip about emails and changing our emails. That's a time that we could do to accomplish some of that. Nate Seacard, we could, not you, Skip Arson. But
You're saying Skip and looking at me.
I know, I was thinking about my next example would be like drafting an email to Nate Seacard about.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I know.
I'll reach out to him.
I'm just saying that kind of work could be done in a work session meeting. If it goes 2 hours, it goes 2 hours. If it doesn't, then, I think that we just decide that, we've accomplished what we needed to do. So, I got generally positive feedback from folks, but I would love to have a quick discussion and see if anybody has any major
I didn't really
objections
understand, I didn't really understand the whole purpose of it. I don't like the idea of going a whole month without listening to the road commissioner or listening to what's going on with the FEMA grants. Yeah, it's a long time, and I'm not sure what working kind of things that you're thinking about.
Can I throw something
Oh,
in?
please.
So it would help me, like for instance, Michael, you emailed us the orange book, which was so nice of you, but like my opportunities to read emails are limited to like 5 minutes between when my kids get on the school bus and I run out the door to work, or like 10 minutes between this and this other thing. So like chunks of time to like read those long emails and actually understand the things that I'd like to understand, like those chunks of time don't exist. So this could provide that opportunity, which would be really nice for me, just to like catch up and get myself up to speed on things.
And I would just suggest that if, you to use you as an example again, Skip, if Skip had an update that was pretty critical for us to hear, that there was no reason that we wouldn't put the FEMA update on the agenda. If you don't have anything that you feel is new information, then we could, you could bring it up in a meeting if we needed to, but we could skip that portion of the meeting. Same thing with grants, same thing with, the road. Again, by all means, I think that if there were things that needed to be discussed, you would make sure you were on the agenda for that meeting.
I wonder if the workload might be heavier on that first week or the second week from the public, like issues from the public, people having questions. If you wait a whole month to deal with those, I wonder if that might be an overload for that.
I think it might, but I think a lot of times some of those things come through email or phone calls that Robin passes along to us. And that's the other thing I think would be pretty valuable is having that time, you know, especially in the early evening, to make a phone call to somebody who had their windshield cracked from, whatever, and maybe head some of those things off that, like, during the week, I don't have, I might have the time, but my mind is someplace else, rather than making a phone call for, something. But it's possible. And the other thing I would say, my opinion is I kind of would be excited about this, but if it didn't work, we could always just say it didn't work and go back to the.
Then we could try it without changing it, without formally changing our whole schedule, and just say that, announce that the next meeting is gonna take place at the town office instead of here, and the agenda that we publish will be short.
Okay. I would still suggest that I don't know why, but it feels like this the bigger meeting should happen in that earlier part of the month. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it doesn't matter. So that maybe we keep the same structure for the next meeting and then try it for the following one.
I like that.
Okay?
Steven?
I got a question. I know this has come up in the past about whether the board should expand to 5 members or maybe have a town administrator or a town manager or part-time. I'm just wondering, from your experience, is the workload manageable for a 3-person board? Or would it be helpful to have a part-time town manager
Yeah,
or
we discussed that.
administrator?
I mean, with people like Michael and Skip, we don't, and John and you, we don't.
And Diana.
Well, I mean, what I do in between the meetings is, it's not that much. But compared to what you guys do.
I think the issue is mostly that for folks that are still working, I mean, I watched Chris Cody struggle with young family, work, that there just isn't a lot of time to devote to being a select board member, and the work from being a select board member can be overwhelming in itself. So trying something different, I think that's a good idea, because otherwise you just have old retired folks like us running the town or doing the town governance, and it really is nice to have younger people doing it also. Trying to make it work out for the work. I mean, I know you both are construction builders, and now that spring is starting, you're going to be probably out straight till the snow flies, and maybe you're out straight even through the winter, I don't know.
Yeah, but for us people with white hair, we
No hair.
have ones that have the time and have the knowledge and have the commitment, it's no reason to put us out to pasture either.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
So you think it is manageable then, maybe with some improvements or adjustments, yeah?
Yeah, but we did talk about the 5-member thing, and it just didn't go.
It's hard to get 3 members.
Right, to get people to,
I just like to say, I think it's a good idea. And there are towns around us that meet twice a month, and there are towns around us that meet once a month.
right,
Yeah.
Both seem to do pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have the more public of the 2 meetings, the first of the month, that would coincide with kind of a monthly treasurer's report, which is the way most organizations look at finances. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we would keep the same format for the next meeting and then try a kind of slimmed down agenda. And the only reason I'm suggesting we do it at the town offices is it is a true work meeting and we need to access something there that would be at our hand, at our fingertips. So.
I wonder if you would want to do that on the Tuesday evening when the town office is open, so that if you needed information from...
But I think I brought that up, and I think he was thinking that they would just work that Monday night.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
Like they do now.
they'd be here anyways, right?
So it's just being there instead of
And the only, I thought about that too, Michael, but if, it's open, and I think that if for
Yeah,
one
this
reason
is
you had a
open.
heavy traffic load, it might make it more difficult to accomplish
Come in
it.
and they wanna talk and,
You can shut the doors in that little room.
yeah.
It's a small room.
Yeah, it's gonna get hot in there in July.
Yes, I remember well.
Okay, well, thanks for the input, and, I guess unless there's any
Our
other
next
business.
meeting wouldn't be until 3 weeks from now anyways.
Remember?
Our next meeting is the second Monday in April is the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, right now we've got next week, the first, so we've got 3 weeks before the next meeting.
So really you've kind of kept it as is for March, because this is the 4th
Yeah.
week, so next, in April you would start the.
We'll have meetings on the 14th and the 28th.
Puerto Rico. Gonna see FEMA.
I do have
Going
a
to Puerto
couple
Rico to see FEMA.
Field trip.
Yeah.
dates at the end of
Find out where our
May.
money's at.
Field trip.
Well, unless there's any other business that we need to address, we can probably approve bills and payroll orders, outside of the meeting. So I would, unless there's anything anybody wants to discuss, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn. Thank you, everybody.